So welcome to Tiny Kitchen. We're here in Castle Pines, Colorado, and we're going to make New York pastrami. So now the first pastrami sandwich was created in 1887 and actually put on rye bread in New York City. But first they had to take a brisket and brine it. So that's what we're going to do. The first thing to do is put the brine together. You have to put all the ingredients in and then steep it after you've started boiling the water. So the first ingredients, brown sugar. Okay. Your second ingredient is kosher salt. Now, you can use pickling salt if you can find it. It will make your granular dissolving process much quicker. All right, then you need a gallon of bottled water because they don't want to have to wait forever for it to cool off. I'm going to use a half a gallon, and if you have another half a gallon of ice, that's the best way to do it, but I did not think that far ahead. Okay, so bring this puppy to a boil. Once it starts to boil, that's exactly when you want to throw in all your other spices and aromatics, because you need them to dissolve the fragrant flavors out of them, and you can't do that once it comes to a boil. But you don't have to keep boiling it. You just bring it to the boil, throw your spices in, and then shut it off, let it sit. Boils faster because you peppered it, but don't burn yourself. Right? We're going to dump in our spices, 2 tablespoons, whole black peppercorns, 1 tablespoon plus 2 teaspoons of dried thyme, 6 bay leaves, 2 teaspoons of whole cloves. That's good. A 1/4 cup minced garlic. You can use a jar kind, it's much easier. Oops. And then 2 teaspoons of whole juniper berries, and shut the heat off. If you can use fresh ingredients, all the better, like fresh garlic. And then you notice it's not still boiling, so now you want it to cool. And we're gonna quicken this process by adding ice water. Use the rest of your water with ice. Probably not quite as much. We'll make the last 4 cups of ice water. We'll cool it down faster. Yeah, do that one more time. One more time. And if you don't use it all, that's okay because the ice replaces this, whatever you've got left. That's kind of cool. Yep. Very cool. Did I tell you to steep it for an hour before you cool it down? This is basically a half brisket. It's the thinner portion. And the fat cap is not real thick, so I'm not going to worry about trimming it right now. When buying a brisket, try to get a whole one. The fat cap on here, you could trim that just a little bit if you want, but for simplicity's sake, I'm going to ignore it, because basically the flavor and everything won't really penetrate the fat. So try to trim it a little bit, but leave a layer, a thin layer, maybe an 1/8 or 1/16 of an inch of fat on it, just for the purpose of keeping it moist. Throw that in there just like that. Okay, so notice I can hold the pan. It's down to about 40, 44 degrees, so that's good. and the brisket has been in the refrigerator, so it'll bring the temperature even down further. You don't want to stick something warm in the fridge because it'll just overwork your refrigerator and it'll take forever to get down to temperature. There's a trick. Yeah. Now, park this in your refrigerator. Make sure the brine gets to every place. Park this in your refrigerator for 3 weeks, turning every 2 days with clean hands. And by the way, you want to put this in the coldest spot in the refrigerator, because you just do. Turn it, clean hands every 2 days. You might want to put a sticky note on it so you know when it'll be done. See you 3 weeks. Welcome back to Tiny Kitchen. It's been 3 weeks. We've turned our brisket and our brine several times, hopefully. And we've drained it. It's coming to room temperature. I've dried it off with towels. And I've started the smoker. So it's preheating. And while it's preheating, I'm going to mix the rub, which is very simple. It is 2/3 of a cup of coarsely ground black peppercorns. That's much fresher, of course, than just buying ground black pepper. 1/3 of a cup of juniper berries, also ground in a spice grinder. We're going to put them in here, mix them up, put them on a piece of paper, and put them in a shaker. Tiny kitchen. I always like to have every bite have a little spice to it, because meat by itself is always just kind of bland. Okay, so here's a quick tip. Keep your pan and your brisket as one. That way you don't make a mess on the way to the smoker. These things are good for covering just about anything you don't want to get dirty, and just mostly everything dirty you don't want anybody to see. So first thing, you probably know how to run your smoker better than I do. Once you get it set up, then I always turn mine to high to get it going. Since this is at room temperature, it's like it's drying and it's going to make a skim. So we just put this puppy right in here, somewhere in the middle, shut the door and let it go. Here's another tip. Don't waste this stuff. You have foiled my plans for a mediocre brisket. Oh. Set your timer for 4 hours. Okay, so this has been resting for at least a half an hour. It had a smoke on it for about 5 hours. Bought a half a box of pellets in, and then switched out and put another half a box out. And gave 2 really good smoking sessions during that time. So this is quite beautiful. We're going to cut it up and find out what it looks like on the inside. It's pretty juicy. It's a little too chewy right now for me, but the flavor's there. The flavor's great. What you can do is slice it super thin, and then you won't notice that so much. Or you can put it in the crock pot overnight and let it cool in its own juices. That would give you your cat deli feel. So hey, thank you for watching. You've really got to try this at home. I am positive you will not be disappointed.